If this pandemic has taught me anything, it's that I want passive income. Today, we're going to talk about the 10 steps to real estate investing for beginners. Brittany with Brittany Hannon Real Estate. Today we're talking about the 10 steps for getting started on your real estate investing journey. Be sure to stay for the end for the bonus tip that is maybe the most important of all of these. Now today we're specifically talking about buy and hold investing. We're not talking about flipping or wholesaling, which is not necessarily investing. It's not passive income. It's actually very active. What we're talking about is the buy and hold investor. So you're gonna buy something and hold on to it for years to come. Step one is to save your money. You want to make sure that you have enough cash in the bank, even if you're going in with a partner or even if you're doing it in some other way. You wanna make sure that you have cash in the bank because something is bound to go wrong. So you can make money by flipping, you can make money by wholesaling, or you can make money just by doing things like doing Uber or Lyft or Instacart, anything that's gonna make you extra money, get more cash in your pocket so that when you do jump into investing, you're not stressing about those finances. This is also the time to be working on your credit score. If your credit is terrible, nobody's gonna give you a loan. Now, I will say that make sure you talk to a lender before you do this because the lender is gonna tell you what you should pay off, what you shouldn't pay off, because some things are gonna be better for you to pay off and some things are gonna be better for you to hold off and wait just because they're not hurting your credit in the way that you think they are. So talk to a lender to see exactly what you should be paying off and what you shouldn't be paying off. But this is a good time to start thinking through that because now is when you wanna get that credit in order. You don't wanna wait until you have a property in place. Keep your day job. Remember, real estate investing is get rich slow. It's not get rich quick. So you want to make sure to hold on to your day job, especially if it's a W-2, it's going to help you get loans in the future. So you want to hold on to that job. Don't quit just yet. You will be able to in the future, but not just yet. Hold on to that. Don't quit your day job. Step 1B is to do your research. At this point in time, this is when you want to start doing your research, start trying to figure out where in the world do you want to invest. Do you want to invest in your backyard? Or are you priced out of that market and you need to invest somewhere else? Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably already in this phase. This is how I got started. I watched every video I could, listened to every podcast, read every book. Click the link in the description below for my favorite real estate books. Step 2, talk to a lender. Now, I know this seems like it's a little bit sooner than you thought you would be talking to a lender, but remember that lender can help tell you exactly what you need to do and exactly how much money you need to bring to the table. All of that is going to help inform your decision on where to invest and how much to invest and how much to save. So you want to talk to a lender right off the bat. Now, if you're worried about them running your credit, don't be. You can run your credit for as many times as you want and only have it hit one time within a 45-day period. Now, you don't want to just talk to any lender. You specifically want to talk to either a mortgage broker or you want to talk to multiple different banks. Now, a mortgage broker is going to talk to multiple different banks for you. So you want to make sure that you have somebody like that who's going to help you because you want to make sure that you're getting the best possible deal. And by talking to one lender, you're not going to know that. So you need to make sure that you're talking to a lot of lenders or one lender who's talking to a lot of banks. Step 3 is find your property. This is where you're determining where you want to invest. Now, in your research phase, you've already kind of narrowed it down to the state and the area. Now we're really looking for the specific city that you want. You're going to start really looking at some of these numbers. You want to look for an area that has rising prices and a stable economy with multiple economic drivers. For instance, I don't want to invest where the only industry is oil. If that dries up, so does the whole economy. I want to invest somewhere where it's diverse, where there are hospitals and Starbucks and schools being built. You want to invest in a growing community because you're planning to have this investment for a lot of years. And if you invest somewhere that's continuing to grow, you're only going to get that much more appreciation. So make sure that you're looking into all of these factors when you're looking for a place to start investing. Go to as many open houses as you can. This is a great way to get a feel for the houses, the area, the prices, the neighborhoods. Now, of course, if you're investing out of the area, then you may not be able to go and look at open houses, and that's okay. Because in today's day and age, we have so much technology that you can do a virtual tour, you can go for a walk around the city virtually. You can talk to a real estate agent to do a virtual showing with you. There are so many options that you don't have to go to open houses if you're not in the same area. If you are in the same area, however, we definitely recommend that you do this. In today's market, deals are made and not found. To make a deal, the best bet is going to be something that is distressed. Now, not too distressed. We're talking ugly, like cosmetic repairs. We're not talking foundation issues, major roof issues, things like that. Now, if you have the funds for that, if you have the know-how, great, you can take on a project like that. But if you don't and you're very new at the whole investing game, then I would say let's hold off on the major fixers until you're a few properties in. The average buyer is wanting to buy something that's turnkey, meaning they turn the key and walk in and their home is ready for them. They don't want to paint, they don't want to redo the flooring, they don't want to have an ugly house. They want something that is ready to move in. So that's where your niche or niche is going to be. It's going to be finding those homes that are ugly, that bigger investors don't want to touch because they're not going to be able to make the margins they need to make. And the average home buyer doesn't want to touch because they want something that's move-in ready. So you want to find something that is a little bit distressed, not too much, mainly cosmetics, and that you can fix with a can of paint, new flooring, some new hardware, spruce it up a bit. This method is called the BRRRR method, where you buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So you buy it as a distressed property, then you rehab it, make some improvements, you rent it out, and then you refinance it. When you go to refinance it, it's gonna appraise for a lot more than what you bought it for. So that new mortgage is gonna be for the higher amount, and you're gonna be able to refinance it and do a cash out refi, which is where you can pull up to 80% of the cash out of that property. We'll talk later about how to get that financing and that funding, but for right now, we're talking about how to do it on your own. So remember, that's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. The repeat is the key. The idea is that you put money in once and then your houses will generate enough income to be able to do it again and again and again. Step 4 is run your numbers. Make sure that on every property, the numbers make sense. I know that I've run numbers on houses that I thought would be a slam dunk, and they weren't as much as a slam dunk as I thought they would be. So every house you're looking to invest in needs to have its own numbers run. You can't just say that in this area, we're going to be able to get this much money back. You can't do that. You have to look individually at each property. So here are some basic numbers for you to know. Number 1, the ARV, which is the after repair value. You want to make sure that you know how much this is going to cost once you fix it up, because that is going to help determine how much that you're willing to pay on it. The way you figure out the ARV is to look at closed sales in the neighborhood. Look within a 1 mile radius if you can, for houses that have closed within the last 6 months. That's what an appraiser is going to be looking at. So you want to make sure that you're doing what the appraiser is seeing, because you can run your numbers based on all kinds of imaginary things. You want to run your numbers based on what an appraiser is going to say, because the appraiser is who's going to come look at it after it's all said and done, and they're going to be the ones to give you a number. So you want to make sure that you have accurate numbers. Now you can do this by looking at some apps, or you can talk to a real estate agent to get some of that info for you. The next number to be aware of are the repair costs. Now, there are lots of repair calculators out there. My favorite are the Bigger Pockets calculators, where you can estimate your rehab costs. And that will really help give you a good picture of what this is going to look like. Now, remember, we always say to add on about 15 to 20% of your rehab costs, just because things come up. There are going to be things that happen, and we don't have a crystal ball. So you need to make sure that you are estimating those rehab costs appropriately. Another number to keep track of are your closing costs. Now, your closing costs don't include your down payment. Your closing costs are for loan origination fees, escrow fees, title fees, all of these things that you potentially could be paying in this process. So you want to make sure that you keep about 2 to 3% of the purchase price for those closing costs. So remember, you already have a down payment that you're paying for, which depending on your financing is going to look anywhere between 0 and 25% usually. So you need to make sure that that is counted separately from your closing costs. This goes back to why you need to save money, because buying a house is expensive. You need to make sure that you have funds in the bank for all of these things that are going to come up. The final most important number to know are the rents in the area. You want to make sure that your house is going to be able to rent for something that's going to cover the mortgage and give you whatever cash flow that you want. There are different websites that you can use to estimate rents. You can use BiggerPockets, you can use Rentometer, or you can use a property manager. Now, if you're going to be working with a property manager, now might be a good time to start talking to them. This can be part of the interview process to start seeing, is this who you want to work with? Your property manager is going to be a key person in helping you to run your investment and manage it properly. So you want to make sure that you have a really good one. Step number 5 is to make offers. But before we get there, if you found value out of this video, be sure to like down below and make sure to comment to let me know what you're specifically liking, what videos you want to see. I want to provide value to you. Now let's go to make offers. When you're making your offers, it's so important to know your numbers. You want to make sure that you have a full picture of all the numbers that we talked about before so that you can make the best offer. And when you know your numbers, you can make these decisions in 5 minutes. You can do it so fast. So you want to make sure that you know these numbers so that you can make these quick decisions. The way that you do that is by working backwards. You want to start with the ARV, the after repair value. You want to know how much it's going to be worth at the end of fixing it up. So you're going to want to pull 20% off of the ARV because when you go to do a cash out refi, in general, you can pull 80% of your loan to value out. So if you pull 80% out, leave 20% in, you also need to know how much it's going to cost to fix it up. So you need those repair estimates. So once you have those repair estimates, you can take that off the number. So let's just say we have a house with an after repair value of $100,000. Now I know you're saying in Southern California that doesn't exist, and you're right. But in other parts of the country, it might exist, and we're just using this for easy numbers. So if we said we have a house with an after repair value of $100,000, we need 20% off the top because we need to be able to pull 80% back out. So 20% is already going to be $80,000. Now, if we're saying we need $20,000 for our estimated repair, that means our highest offer cannot be more than $60,000. So if you have that ARV number, you're able to work backwards based on all the other numbers that we just went through. And you'll be able to get kind of a quick and dirty estimate of what you'll be able to offer. Once you know your numbers, the next step is to be patient. Not every deal is a good deal, especially in this market where houses are flying off the shelves. You need to make sure that you're getting a good deal that makes sense with your numbers, that makes sense with your investment, that makes sense if you have partners. You have to make sure that you're getting a good deal. Don't overpay just because you want to buy something. That being said, you also don't want to wait for the perfect deal. That is a unicorn. It doesn't exist. If you're waiting for the perfect deal, chances are you're going to be waiting forever. And you're going to be missing out on the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands in equity that you'll be missing out on by waiting on the sidelines. In this market, you may be paying over asking price. That doesn't mean that you're overpaying, because if you run your numbers and they still make sense, then you're going to come out on top. Remember that you're playing the long game. If you overpay by a couple $1,000s, in 20 years, you're not going to be complaining about that. Number 6 are to do your inspections. Make sure that you're doing all your inspections thoroughly. You want to know, especially as a new investor, what you're getting yourself into. Even if you're buying the house as is, you still have time to do your due diligence. You still have time to bring in contractors, plumbers, electricians, termite inspectors, landscapers. All of these people you want to come in because you're going to be able to have a great solid picture of how much you're going to need to bring this house up to par. Using the information you've gained from the inspections, you can go back to the seller and potentially renegotiate. This is not always the case, especially if you're getting a house that is very distressed. However, there are lots of times where they don't want to let a deal fall apart. They would rather renegotiate with you to make sure that you close. Step 7 is to close. During the escrow period, you're going to have appraisals. The lender is going to finish underwriting. So there are a few things to do during that escrow period before you close. The lender may run your credit again, which is why it is so important not to do anything stupid like buy a new car or finance a couch. You don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. Make sure that you're not buying any major big purchases until after you close on this house. I've seen this happen before where people get so excited and they run out to go buy a new car or buy a new couch, and then they can't close because now their debt to income ratio has been thrown off. So you want to make sure that you're not getting too excited. Wait until you close and then you can make some of those purchases. Step number 8 is to make those improvements. You've already had your contractors come, so you already have the bids, you already have the estimates, and you're ready to go. So contact those people and say, come on in, let's get a timeline going, let's start this project. By making improvements, you're building instant equity. This is where you make the deal happen. When you get your house reappraised after the improvements are made, you're gonna see a huge increase in your appraised value. And remember, whatever estimates you got from the contractors, add 15 to 20% on top of that with regard to money and time. It's better to be conservative and to have money in the bank than to underestimate and not be able to finish your project. Step 9, find a tenant. Are you using a property management company? If so, make sure they're well-versed in leasing, not just managing the property when somebody's in it. This is another cash flow killer. It's when you have vacancies. And sometimes those vacancies can go on for months, and that is where your cash flow is killed. I made this mistake, and I'll tell you in another video, it was a mess. If you're self-managing, post on Craigslist, post on Facebook. If you're nervous about posting in Facebook, I would challenge you to say, don't worry about that, because talking about real estate and real estate investing is what's going to get you partners in the future. It's what's going to get you funding in the future. People are going to be attracted to people they know, like, and trust. So you want to make sure that you're building that reputation out there for being a real estate investor. And by letting people know your story and that you're looking for a tenant, that's going to let people know that you're the real deal. When you do find a tenant, make sure that you are vetting them thoroughly. A great tenant can stay in your place for years and save you so much money over the long haul. Especially when you're in a tenant-friendly state like California, you want to make sure that you're getting a great tenant, because if you get a bad tenant, you're really going to lose a lot of money. It's going to be almost impossible for you to kick them out. It's going to be almost impossible for you to recoup any of that money. So you want to make sure that you're getting a great tenant. Now, don't worry, because you've just fixed up this beautiful house, and if you've vetted somebody thoroughly, then hopefully you will get a great tenant who's going to live there for years to come. Step 10 is to manage your finances. Make sure that you're accounting for vacancies, capital expenditures, maintenance. Hopefully you won't have a lot of these issues because you have essentially a brand new house that you've redone, but you are going to have some things come up, and you want to make sure that you have cash in the bank when they do. So there you go. You have all 10 steps. Remember that there's one bonus one, but first let's recap those steps. Save your money and do your research. Talk to a lender, find a property, run your numbers, make an offer, do the inspections, close the deal, make improvements, find a tenant, and manage your finances. Thanks for watching, and as promised, the bonus step. This is by far the most important step in this process, is to get started. During your first deal, you're going to make mistakes. Don't wait until you know absolutely everything. Just jump in and get started. You're gonna have missteps. This is a learning curve. But if you stay on the sidelines and don't get in the game, you're going to have nothing. Jack Gardner says, if you wait long enough, then suddenly nothing will happen. Thanks again for watching. If you've made it this far, watch this next video about more real estate investing tips and tricks. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Step 1 is to... Oh my gosh, how is this not broken? This is where you don't want it to be a total gut jump. How to figure that out? Step number 5 is make... Chances are you're gonna be waiting forever. I've seen this happen before, and people on a ton of cash flow. Are you using because you don't want people to know? Thanks for watching, and